In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Hello and welcome to the 17th round of the Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League for tonight's Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. My name is Expert and I'll be your commentator for tonight's race. Here, as you can see, we are at Suzuka for the 17th round. There's only a few rounds left in the championship. Zach Krine has a really good lead on his hands heading into this round. So let's have a quick look. As you can see, at your driver's standings, 281 points, just under 100 points advantage Zach Krine has. So he can nearly, I believe he can actually conceal this championship here this afternoon, I believe, if Revolution has a very poor result. But you need to remember as well, look how close this battle is between the top four, actually. Oh, sorry, I should say from P2, 3, 4 of X Revolution, 40 and Aaron. So that battle in the championship is definitely not over yet, so that's going to be one to watch tonight. Aaron L3F4 is in P4, as I just said. Toddy in P5. P6 will be the Racing Point of Spilly. Plevs in P7. P8 Crossy F1. XXJ Schmidt in P9. Rounding out your top 10 is Swaggy 291. Then it'll be Romy Alonso. Pure Gold for Alfa Romeo. Roscoe Arm in P13. The reserve driver Curving Texas P14. Dr. Dre. Very Lazy Tao. Gaming Burger. Banana Cake Pie. BKXI and Toez Rudy rounds out your top 20. Let's have a quick look now at your constructor standings before we get into a few track stats. Mercedes lead the way at the moment, 288 points they have in the bag at the moment. Not much behind though, so not much in front, I should say, to Ferrari. So the constructor standings or constructors championship is definitely not over as of yet. Racing Point are there as well, 205 points, a little bit off the front too, but it still definitely is doable. Williams in P4. P5 is McLaren on 195 points, 1 point behind the Williams team in front. Then 5 points behind McLaren is Red Bull. So as you can see on your screens, the constructor standings is definitely not going to be decided this round. Then it'll be Renault in P7, P8, Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso in P9, and then Haas in position 10. But let's have a quick look now at some of your track stats. The total track distance is 5.807 kilometers with the total of 18 turns around the Suzuka circuit. 8 corners to the left and 10 to the right. One of the most historic and iconic race circuits that we go to each year. But let's swap it over now to the main screen so you guys can see the drivers who are now out for their qualifying session. Let me know any predictions in the live chat. I'll try and read them out. I do have the stream up for once. I'm a little bit more prepared than normal. I do apologize as well that I've started the stream a little late. I didn't realize that they actually had started going until I looked back at my stream. So Pure Gold currently, well, let's keep on board with Pure Gold. As I've said multiple times, it is kind of a tradition to be on board with him for the first flying lap. He seems to always be at the top, so he's just the one that always pops up on our screens first. So he's heading through the second sector now. I also need to bring up a track map so I know all the corner numbers. I'll get that for you shortly. Heading through this fast double right-hander now. Very easy to corner cut that first right-hander, or just track extend, I should say, and invalidate your time. But he's now heading up to the hairpin, the slowest corner on the racetrack. Very easy to lock the inside front and completely ruin your lap. But he's now he's about to cross over into the third sector very shortly through this long right hander. You want to keep it as tight as possible normally so that you you're not overdoing the track distance that you need to be doing. It doesn't make much sense, but heading through the spoon curve now. Double left-hander. Hits both apexes quite nicely. Heading up to 130R now, the fastest corner on the racetrack. Flat out in an F1 car. Monday F1 car. Now heading into the chicane. The final chicane, braking between the Pirelli board and the 100-meter boards. Normally where you want to be braking, using a lot of lock there over the bump that nobody in this game likes. Heading up towards the line at the moment. He's derating, but he's going to go into position 7 now. Is Pure Gold on a 28.9, but currently it is X Revolution that leads the way at the moment. He currently sits on provisional pole on a 27.7 is the McLaren driver. Then it'll be 40 right behind him. Crossy, his teammate there as well with the 1 minute 28.4. So he's actually set a pretty good lap straight up, has X Revolution. So McLaren looking strong straight off the bat here. Gunners in position 4 for Toro Rosso. Then it'll be Toddster, his teammate Gaming Burger in position 6 on a 28.5. So it's really tight between all these drivers here as so far. Jay Schmidt in P7 for Racing Point. Pure Gold in P8 as we just watched or witnessed his lap. Spilly in P9 the moment he'll actually set a lap on the medium, so that's interesting. I believe it is a soft medium around here. I believe it is the soft medium. I'm trying to think back to other league races. Actually, I don't even know if it's a 2-stop. It might only be a soft medium, but you definitely do start on the soft tyres. I know that for sure. So Iconic Q is in P10 as well, the last of the drivers that have set a lap time so far. I don't believe that is very representative of himself though, so he will be going out again. Let's try and find a driver that is on a lap or is about to start a lap. Let's ride on board. Well, let's go for a lap with Dr. Dre when he comes up to the line. He's about to now. Yeah, let me know some predictions in the chat. I'll try and read them out. Welcome everyone to the stream as well. BK, Banana Cake Pie, Uzumaki, ACW, Lewis Tiger, Josh Rams, HD Tom. Welcome everyone to the stream. Hopefully the stream's all working fine as well. But you see Dr. Dre now starting as they've got a little bit of grass there heading through the final right-hander. So hopefully that doesn't affect him too much. Heading up to turn 1 and turn 2 now. A little bit cautious through turn 1. Normally you want to keep it flat out for the majority of turn 1 and then turn 2. Oh, he's made a little error there. There's Dr. Dre, and unfortunately he's lost control of the car. And he is now going to have to abort this lap. Unfortunately, will Dr. Dre. Let's have a look here. Curving Texas coming up to start his lap. They will right on board with him as he heads up into turn 1 and turn 2. Let's see what the Renault driver can do. Will he make the same mistake that Dr. Dre did? Doesn't look like it. He's got to the apex nicely. Runs a little bit wide through turn 2 though, but not really a corner that you have to hit the apex on. Heading through turn 3, 4 and 5. The S-curves. I believe it's called the S-curves? Yes, it is called the S-curves. I always get the center curves and the S-curves mixed up with this. Obviously I know what they are, but I get the name mixed up, I should say. That's probably a better way of explaining it. Curving Texas now heading up to turn 8 and 9 of the Degner curves, and he's unfortunately invalidated, as we did talk about just before. It is very easy to track extend there, and that is a plain example of that. So Curving Texas on the soft tyres at the moment. His lap is unfortunately done. He's going to have to come back in the pits. He's still not set a lap yet, and he's got 9 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, so let's see if he's able to set a lap. Aaron's going to be completing a lap here as he's heading up to 130R and into the final chicane right about now. Does he get it stopped? He does. Very deep under brakes. A little bit of rear end loss there, but he's now coming up to the line over the bump. Opens DRS. What time's he said? He goes P3 on a 27.9. So Zach Crichton's also jumped himself up into the top 3 as well on a 27.8. So he's about a 10th off Extra Evolution's time. Then a 10th off Zach's time is Aaron L3F 440. He's now jumped up into P4 as well on a 28.3. Plev's into P5 now. He'll be looking for a good result here this afternoon, crossing in P6. Plev's currently splitting the 2 Ferraris. Gunner's now a full-time Toro Rosso driver now, officially, for the remainder of the season. He will be filling in for Toez Rudy, who has unfortunately retired from the league. So Gunner's now will take or occupy that seat for the remainder of the season. Todd's the MP8, P9 is Gaming Burger for both the Williams teams, and Jay Schmidt rounds out your top 10. P11, Pure Gold, Banana Cake Pie down in position 12 at the moment, getting out of the way of BK, who might be on a lap. So let's see if BK is on a lap. Actually, I think he's starting a lap now. Or we'll go back to this order. Spilly in P13 at the moment. He's out on the softs. He did set his first lap on the medium, so I don't think he was really trying. I think he was just trying to get a banker lap in, but unfortunately with this league, banker laps are not going to really get you anywhere, because you need to be on top of your game as soon as possible in this qualifying session. You need to be getting the absolute maximum out of these cars. They head through, as Spilly heads through the Degner curve, gets a turn nicely. Little lock up there, but it actually helped him a little bit. He was going to hit the inside curb if he didn't actually lock up there, and he's now locked up both front tyres. He still gets the stop though, so that's interesting. He also locked the rears a little bit, so he's pushing very hard at the moment, is Spilly. It's going to be costing him a slight amount of time, but not as much as it would if you were running wide. Heading up to the spoon curve now, braking just after 50 meter board rather. This corner is very easy to run wide, and you want to get on the gas earlier than you think, because you do have that exit road there that can actually gain you so much time. As Spilly is now coming up to 130R. What time is he going to be able to set? It doesn't seem like it's been a super bad lap here from the Racing Point driver. Heading up to the final chicane of the Casio Triangle. Through the final corner of turn 18, a lot of wheel spin in this car. He's derating now, but where does he go? He only manages P10 just in front of his teammate, a 28.7 rather, for Spilly, a 10th faster than his teammate of Jay Schmidt. Sorry about that. I just bumped my controller. Pure Gold still in P12 at the moment. He's midway through a lap. He's a 10th up on his time at the moment, so this will jump him probably in front of Schmidt, unless he can find a bit more time through this final sector. He should be crossing the sector split right about now. He's 2/10, nearly 3 up on his time, so he'll be looking around where Spilly is at the moment by the looks of it. Heading into the Casio Triangle chicane now, very deep under brakes, just gets it stopped, uses all the curbing available to the Alfa Romeo driver. Up to the line he now goes, doesn't keep it narrow, which is probably the smarter thing to do, but he now comes up to the line, manages P9. He ended up just under 5/10 faster on that lap there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Not comfortably, I should say, just got himself into the top 10 actually. Gaming Burger's a couple 100ths of a second behind Pure Gold, but he is now finishing a lap. What times he said? He goes in a P7 now, does Gaming Burger, 28.2, so only slightly off across the F1's time. I was just trying to see who finished the lap there. I believe Toddy did. Toddy had just finished the lap as well. 28 flat there for the Williams driver. He needs to get back around so he can try and set another lap. Bit nice like there from the Williams driver. Very tight at the moment between all our drivers. Extra Evolution has a pretty good gap though. He's got a couple of tenths between himself and 40, who's now jumped up into the top 2 rather. He was 18 100ths of a second faster than Zach Crichton's time, so it's going to be tight here. It looks like Revolution, well, he has been all season. He looks like he's been real quick in the qualifying sessions, but unfortunately just hasn't been able to convert that too much over in race terms. Oh, I need to fix this up so it stops doing that. I apologize for it as well. It's my little cover to stop the breathing. You're hearing breathing. It keeps coming off. I'll just hold it. Might be easier. There you go. Alright, so I apologize about that. 5 minutes remaining in the session. It looks like Zach Crichton is in a lap though. So keep on board with him for the remainder of this lap. See what time he's able to do. He'll be heading up to the third sector split very shortly, so we'll be able to get a little reading on what his pace is like on this lap. Coming up to it right about now, and he is 4 tenths up on his time at the moment, so this is going to be pretty tight, I believe. Actually, it might even be a little bit faster than Extra Evolution's time. Very deep heading into the final corner. Oh, he just nearly invalidates the car there, but he now comes up to the line. I think this will be pole. It will be pole with a 27.3. That is really quick here from Zach Crichton. He needs to actually push here if he wants to try and get another lap. Well, that might be his session done and dusted. So will Extra Evolution, well, the likes of Extra Evolution, 40, Aaron, Toddy, be able to respond to that? It's a very quick time there, 4 tenths of a second faster than anyone else at the moment. So I think the McLaren driver will have a very good chance of this. He's been pretty quick all session. This has been the first lap that Zach's actually been able to show his pace. So we'll have to see if he can improve. 40 is still in the pit lane, so is Revolution. Aaron looks like he's on a lap though, so we're right on board with the Red Bull driver. I'm not too sure if he's up on his time though. We'll be able to get a sector split reading very shortly. Heading down the long straight now. The old pit lane on the right there actually. Well, the original pit lane. He's 1 tenth of a second up on his time at the moment, so he's looking to potentially jump 40. Yeah, it's going to be tight. Was very cautious heading into that final braking zone though. I think he's backed out of it. He has, so he's going to try and go again. I don't think he was very happy with that lap. He knows he can improve, so he's going to come in and put a new set of soft tyres on, I believe, and try and get back out there and try and improve on that time yet again, because I don't think he would have had enough time if he went and completed that lap. So he definitely thinks that there is time to be found. A lot of people in the pits at the moment. We'll quickly go through your order. Zach Crichton leads away at the moment on a 27.3, 3 tenths of a second clear of Extra Evolution behind him. Then it'll be 40 who will line up on the second row of the grid, and Aaron in P4 provisionally. Todster 99 in P5, P6. Crossy, who actually splits the 2 Williams of Toddy and Gaming Burger, who sits in P7. P8 is Plebs leading his teammate Curving Texas in P9, who showed really, really good pace, believe it or not, at Russia. So Curving has really picked up his game, especially from the Russian Grand Prix. As I just said, he was on for a potential podium, but unfortunately the race fell away from him. And as you can see how many drivers are now coming out of the pit lane to set their final runs. Let me know some predictions in the chat. Who you reckon will get pole position here for the Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League Japanese Grand Prix. Gunners is in position 10 at the moment, who we're currently spectating. Then it'll be Schmidt, Pure Gold, Spilly, MP13, P14, BKXI, the Mercedes. Then it'll be Dr. Dre, Banana Cake Pie, Iconic Q, and Very Lazy Tao, who has failed to set a lap time so far. So, wonder if Tao's doing a last first challenge. I'm not too sure. Bring the stream back up so I can see you guys chatting. We have a little... Oh, okay. So BK just informed us here that we have a dry qualifying session, which is pretty obvious, and then a wet race. So a little bit of wet weather will spice it up, I reckon. Obviously, Japan is probably up there with the harder tracks to actually overtake on, so I'm not sure. We'll have to see. There are only select spots that you can make an overtake, and there's pretty much no other places that you can, so that'll be interesting. Obviously, Zach did not get back around, or didn't have enough time to get back around to set another lap, so his qualifying session is done. He's just going to be sitting there in the car watching those times from Revolution, 40, Aaron, Toddy, Crossy, see if they're all able to pluck that time off. Uzumaki is going for Ferrari. ACW reckons Revolution will be on pole ahead of 40 and Aaron, so he's completely put Zach out of it by the looks of it. But let's go on board with 4022, who currently sits in position 3 in the driver's standings. He's coming up to start his final lap now. So are a lot of the drivers. He'll be one of the first. I believe Revolution is actually... Oh, he's invalidated! Revolution's gone. He's unfortunately invalidated already on his laps. His qualifying session is done. The McLaren driver will not be able to improve on his time. So can 40, Aaron, Toddy, Crossy, Berger be able to respond to that? 40 heading through the S-curves now. Runs a little bit wide there, so that's going to cost him a bit of time. He's made a mistake now as 40 is in the wall. Is he continuing on? He's only 2 100s down at the moment, but I think he's going to lose a lot more. He's going to push on, though, because he didn't invalidate, but that cost him so much time. He was probably up on his time, to be honest. So Gaming Burger's now come across the line. He's only managed P7. Very Lazy Towel has not. Will not complete a lap. Toddy has made a mistake as well, so he is out of the qualifying session. So can Aaron do anything? He's invalidated as well, so everybody's invalidating on these laps. What will Crossy be able to do? He's coming through the final chicane now. Will he be able to go to pole position? He gets a lot of oversteer on exit, coming up to the line now. He doesn't improve on his time, so no one... Everyone's stuffing up their final laps here. Toddy, Aaron, 40, and X Revolution have all stuffed up their final laps, so this is going to be handing it to Zach Crichton, who we all need to remember as well. I'm not too sure if any of you guys know his, I believe, top 40, I believe, in time trial around Suzuka, which is pretty good, to be honest. So, will Plez be able to do anything? He's 2/10 up on his time, so he's looking to potentially go into the top 5 here. He's coming up through the final chicane now. What will Plebs be able to do for Renault? Will he be able to get his car into the top 5? I believe for the second time this season, coming up to the line. He goes position 5 for Renault with the 1 minute 28.0. Gunners jump, actually Schmidt jumps up into P8, sorry, for Racing Point. Curving Texas, unfortunately, did not improve there in the end. He only managed P9. And Crossy has now been forced all the way back down out of the just the top 10. Gaming Burger out of the top 10. So that looks like your qualifying session is done and dusted. Zach Crichton takes pole position for the Mercedes-AMG Petronas team. Then it will be X Revolution for McLaren and 40 in position 3. So it's the exact same order as your championship standings at the moment for the top 3. But yeah, obviously it is going to be a rain-affected race, so it's going to be very interesting to see if the drivers can cope with those wet and damp conditions. So Zach Crichton took pole, 0.3 of a second clear of his rival. Well, it's not really a rival anymore. He's got a pretty comfortable lead. I should say X Revolution in P2. P3 is 40 and Aaron in P4. So the position 2, 3, and 4 at the moment are all exactly the same as the championship list or order at the moment. So those 3 are actually the main championship battle at the moment, battling it out for the second spot on the championship standings. I know I said championship standings like 15 times, but you get the idea. They are all the ones battling it out at the moment for second in the title. Obviously, there's like 3-4 points separating those 3, so any little error from either of those drivers or any of those drivers, 3 drivers, will really hurt their championship standings. And there's only a few rounds left in this series, so let's quickly let the drivers now head over to the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. Let me know some predictions in the live chat. I'll read them out on stream. Yeah, so let's see how we go. Spilly's confirmed for us as well. He has a full wet setup going. I believe he didn't actually get in the top 10. I can't remember, but we'll be back with you shortly. Stay tuned. As you can see now on your screens, the drivers are heading out for their formation lap. 5.083 kilometer circuit. It is intermediate conditions here at the Japanese Grand Prix. 27 laps they will have to do here this afternoon, battling it out for the Japanese Grand Prix. So I'm just trying to pull up the stream chat. So yeah, Spilly, as he did just say, he has a full wet setup going in position 12. So let's see if that works for him. Zach Crunch talking to keep it on track already. The Mercedes driver already choking in this race. Gaming Burger's left the session, so hopefully he's able to join back. But we'll quickly remind you in a moment of what the order was. Well, you can't see it on your screen, but I'll quickly go through it. I'll bring up some telemetry for you guys as well. But you can see Zach's just giving us a little idea there on what the grip's like at the moment around the Suzuka circuit. There's pretty much nothing at all available to him, so let's quickly go through your order. Zach Crun will start on the front row or in the pole position spot here for the Japanese Grand Prix. X Revolution will line up alongside him for McLaren. Then it will be 40 and Aaron. These three are all battling it out for position 2 in the championship. So all of these guys will be battling as hard as they can here today to try and get an edge on the other two in the little battle there for the title. Oh, sorry, not the title. My words right now are atrocious. For P2 and the standings. Plebs will be in P5. A really good result for the Renault driver. He will have Todd Starr, I believe, alongside him. He will do. So Gunners will be in the 4th row of the grid. He will have XHJ Schmidt alongside him. Gunners is now full-time Toro Rosso driver as well, so congratulations to him on getting that seat. Schmidt alongside him. Curving Texas in P9, unfortunately wasn't able to get to the same spot as his teammate was in P5, so he'll be a little disappointed with that. He'll be trying to get up a little bit further than what he is at the moment, considering his really strong performance from the Russian Grand Prix. Crossy in P10, he'll line up alongside Curving. Then it will be Gaming Burger and Spilly on the 6th row of the grid. Pure Gold and BK on the 7th. Dr. Dre and Banana Cake Pie on the 8th row of the grid. Sorry, on the 8th row? Yes, it is the 8th row of the grid. And then Iconic Q and Very Lazy Towel round out your grid here for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's going to be an epic race here between the drivers. Obviously, wet conditions will mix it up here for the race. Thank you guys for tuning into the stream as well. Waiting for Tao now to pull up on the grid. Will be the last driver to form up on the grid. The green flags have been waved now, and the light sequence is now beginning for the Japanese Grand Prix. 5 red lights ahead of the drivers, and we are underway. It looks like Revolution got a pretty good start, though. He's actually going to draw alongside Zach Crichton, heading down the main straight, but Zach cuts him off very early as they head into turn 1. Aaron's got the jump on 40, heading into turn 1 as well, so he's now up into the podium spots. Zach Crichton leads the way as he heads through turn 2 and up to turn 3. Revolution P2, then it will be Aaron, 40, Plebs, Toddster, Gunners in position 7. Any crashes? I don't believe so. Spilly's dropped to position of Crossy there. Crossy did start P10 though, so he might have got a better start, but Plebs is just holding on in P5 at the moment. All line astern. This is a one-way line through this whole S-curve section. You can see they're all tiptoeing around the track at the moment. Absolutely no grip in these intermediate tyres. Look at that. Gunners putting pressure now on Tots as they head through the Degner curves. Doesn't look like there's been any incidents as of yet, and that's the Alfa Romeo there of Pure Gold making contact with Spilly, and down the inside looks like is Curving Texas. Will he send it on Jay Schmidt? Not able to get it done, but Crossy is though. He's trying to make a move on Curving Texas. They're actually 2 wide back here, nearly 3 between Pure Gold and Spilly as they exit the hairpin. They're going to be alongside each other as they head through this long right-hander. That was the racing point there, nearly put in the wall of Spilly. They continue on now. The Mercedes of BK is actually up into position 13 now. He's up a spot as well. Very, very clean start there from all the drivers. BK's up a spot, so is Banana. He's up 2. Iconic Q's up 2. And unfortunately for Berger, he's down 5. Dr. Dre's down 2. And he's now got Tao for company here down the inside as they head. Well, they're actually going to run alongside each other, I should say, as they head into 130R. Dr. Dre, unfortunately, has had the worst of starts possible. He's now dropped to the rear of the grid, but they will now start the second lap of the race. Revolution will be behind Zach Run as they start the second lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Then it will be Aaron, 40, Plebs, Toddy, Gunners, Jay Schmidt, Curving Texas, Crossy, BK, Spilly. Rounds out your top 12. And look, Tao, I believe, has now also just made a move on the Gaming Burger. So I think Burger may have a little bit of damage. He's not driving very quickly, and that's a racing point in a half spin. That's Spilly gone there at the exit of turn 2. I'm not too sure if he made contact. They were in a little bit of a battle pack there. Was the racing point driver and a couple of other drivers. I believe Pure Gold was involved in that. So might be a little bit of a inquiry there for the stewards to look at post-race. But unfortunately for Spilly, he is now dropped to the pointy end. Sorry, the bottom end of the grid. Zach Krein is at the pointy end of the grid. He currently leads the way still. He's got 5 tenths of a second between himself and Aaron. Then it'll be Plebs, who's now up a spot as well. I think 40's made an error. He has, so he's dropped down to P6 now. He's lost a spot to Toddy and Plebs. Does Gunners try and make a move? 40 defends the position very late. Does Schmidt send it down the inside? Yes, he does at the hairpin. Does he push the Toro Rosso driver out wide? He's trying to push him out. But Gunners got the better traction as he did have the more optimal line exiting that corner. He's actually going to be in the toe now. Is Gunners. Will he be able to make a move on 40 heading into the spoon curve? He's not really close enough. We have seen moves been attempted heading into the spoon curve. Cough, cough, Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, and it hasn't really worked out, so I don't think we'll be seeing that anytime this race, let alone in the wet weather. So we'll continue on. They're about to start the third lap of the Grand Prix. Plebs needs to try and catch up to Aaron now. It actually looks like it's getting a bit heavier now as a condition, so this is all very tight between all our drivers at the moment. Aaron's starting to fall off these two in front of him ever so slightly, and this is allowing Plebs to actually catch up now. Obviously, DRS is not available to any of these drivers. Zach trying to get some heat into those tyres, or potentially actually just defending from Extra Evolution. So they now head into turns 1 and 2. Zach makes a little error there. He was forced wide. Now it's going to help Extra Evolution a little bit more catch up. Order hasn't really changed from last lap besides 40 dropping down to position 6. Oh, he's made another mistake there as 40, so he's really struggling at the moment as a Ferrari driver in these wet conditions. So it doesn't look like it's too wet. On the onboard it looks like it's really wet, but then off the TV cam it looks like it's pretty bone dry at the moment, to be honest. But obviously it is wet conditions. You can see the rear on that Ferrari just got zero grip available to him, and Zach Kreitner, race leader, already has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty very early in this race. Will we see a move from Extra Evolution as they headed to the hairpin? He's thinking about it. Zach did defend the inside line though, which did stop Extra Evolution thinking there, or attempt of going down the inside heading into the hairpin. Banana Cake Pie is down in position 15. He's now got himself a penalty, and I think he's made a little error there at the hairpin. He's now dropped down to the second bottom spot. He will now have Dr. Dre for company down in position 18. Look at Zach. He's all over the track at the moment. This might be Extra Evolution's chance here to try and make a move heading into the triangle chicane. I believe it's called the triangle chicane. Don't quote me on that. Something triangle. But Zach's still squirming around as Revolution dive him. It's probably smart from him there to defend or to sit behind Zach for a little bit. Obviously, Aaron and Plebs are starting to catch up now, and they are actually battling at the moment. But look at this. Revolution's got a really good run here on the Mercedes as they head down the start-finish straight. Zach's really struggling at the moment in these wet conditions. Will we see a move from the McLaren driver? He's thinking about it. He's not close enough this time, though, and he's actually in a high. He's massively sideways there, was the McLaren driver. He just held it. But these top four are all converging on each other. Toddy's now going to have to try and catch up as well. He's got a little bit of a gap in front and behind him. So 40 is really struggling as well. He started on the front row of the grid, but just hasn't had the pace at the beginning of this race. His tyres have just not kicked in to this Ferrari car. Gunners is now putting pressure on 40, who currently sits in position 2 in the championship. And obviously this is really bad for 40 because the two people that or the two drivers I should say that he is battling in this championship are currently position 2 and P3. There's 3 points separating these three, so they cannot, or he cannot afford to be this far behind them. And I believe 40 is actually the one leading. Actually no, Revolution's the one leading. There's 3, and then it is 40 and then Aaron. So he cannot afford to be where he is at the moment. He needs to try and pick up the pace and not let these guys in front of him get away. Zach is obviously not pulled away as of yet. As you can see on the mini-map on the right-hand side of your screen, it is very close between all our drivers so far. No one's really pulled away from the other. There's a yellow flag. Oh, there's a crash here. I believe that is Iconic Hugh in the wall. He is in the wall heading through the long right-hander. Could we see a potential virtual safety car here? He's got out of the wall there, so he's had a half spin, and unfortunately he's lost his front wing. Revolution's not going to be close enough this time round. Obviously, it's very hard to follow, let alone in wet conditions. So he needs to try and force Zach Krein into an error, which he has been doing a couple of times already in this race. So Pure Gold's now in a little battle with BK. by the looks of it. He's actually now got ahead, and BK and Spilly are going side by side. They're 3 wide at the moment. Is Tao, Spilly and BK. Tao, I believe, trying to stick his nose down the middle. Wasn't really there, so BK's dropped more positions there in this race. He's now back down to position 14 to where he started. He had a really good start. He was battling for P10, I believe, with Curving Texas. But unfortunately, he's now dropped back to where he started this race. There's another yellow flag. I believe that is just a local yellow. I think it is. Yeah, it must be a local yellow. Does that Crown lead as they now start lap 5 of 27 in this Japanese Grand Prix? Head of X Revolution, Aaron and Plevs. There's more yellow flags happening. I believe that is a Red Bull. No, it's not. I think it might just be a local yellow. I think it might actually be. It is Iconic Hughes, unfortunately retired from the session, so he will now be the first retirement from the Japanese Grand Prix. Hopefully that doesn't bring out a safety car, because he did not do it in the pit lane like he's supposed to, but doesn't look like it will be the case. So Zach Crichton, 4/10 advantage at the moment on X Revolution. He's just doing enough at the moment to hold off the McLaren behind him. Plebs is starting to fall off this battle pack as well. Toddy's also starting to catch up, so Plebs and Aaron need to try and pick up their pace here to keep with these two in front. The conditions don't look like they're really improving at the moment. On the TV view, it doesn't actually look like it's raining too heavily, but everywhere else in car vision, it looks like it's definitely raining. But could this be the McLaren's opportunities? Going down the inside, he wasn't close enough though. Zach Crichton knew he wasn't close enough, so he didn't bother defending that position. Smart there of the Mercedes driver. It did. Well, it will help his line as he heads to turn 1 and turn 2. Spilly just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, I believe. Very calm start as well. No real major incidents as of yet, so the Revolution's pretty much pushing Zach here. He wants him to get the move on. I think he'll try and work here with Zach Crichton for a little bit and try and edge away, but Zach's squirming, and so is Revolution. With the rear traction, just struggling to put that accelerator pedal down. Look at Revolution having to brake there to avoid Zach heading into that right-hander. Or having to brake even heavilier is a word, I guess. It's not a word, but you get the idea. Aaron's right there in P3 at the moment. Then Plebs is still just within. And as you can see now, these top 6 are all starting to converge on each other. And Gunners is also starting to catch up. And that's Ferrari gone. Crossy is spun round at the hairpin. Gone into a half-spin. I don't believe he has front wing damage to that car though, so he will continue on. But he's going to be dropping positions left, right and centre here. Unfortunately for the Ferrari, he's now dropped out of the top 10. Will BK be able to make a move here on Crossy? So it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. So unfortunately for Crossy, he's now dropped outside of the top 10. Very Lazy Tails had a really good start. He's up 6 spots already in the first 6 laps. So really good start here for the McLaren driver. But we'll go back to our race leaders. Revolution thought about making another move heading into turn 1. Aaron's very deep into there as well. I think he was half trying to defend from Plebs there. As they will now start the 7th lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. 20 laps remaining in the race. Revolution's not going to be close enough here, I believe, to make a move. So I think what Revolution's wanting at the moment is Zach to pick up the pace a bit here and try and work with him so that they can pull away and he can actually battle without the drivers behind getting involved. So at the moment 40 is right on the rear of Todd, so the Ferrari has finally picked up a bit of pace after that very shocking beginning to the Grand Prix. Both Ferrari cars have had a pretty poor start to this race, but hopefully they can pick that back up. And BK has actually got ahead now of Crossy F1, so the Ferrari driver now back down to position 14 in this race. So, oh, wrong button. Sorry about that. Or as you can see here, move here potentially from Spilly on Curving Texas. He stuck the nose down there, did Spilly. Wasn't really close enough though. He's going to try and set up a run though on the Renault in front of him. He's going to have the toe. Will he go to the inside line? He knows not to do it. He's not the smartest of opportunities to make a move there. He needs to just wait for a run. Rain actually looks like it's coming down heavier now, so could potentially see some wet tyres been thrown on the cars, but he's actually going to draw alongside Curving Texas here as they head up to the run for 130R. Doesn't have the straight line speed that Curving Texas has though, so he might be running a little bit lower downforce is the Renault driver. Pure Gold's now got himself a penalty as well, down in position 9. 5-second penalty, but what's going to happen here? Will Curving Texas be overtaken? He tried to defend the position heading into the chicane, but I think he knows now that Spilly just has a little bit more pace in him. Oh, he's trying to hold it there though. But now Spilly's up into the top 10 for the Japanese Grand Prix. Crossy is now into the pit lane as well. Oh, I keep doing that. Sorry about that. So Crossy's in the pits. I believe he... What tyres is he going on? He's going into the intersole. Might have been a front wing change there for the Ferrari driver. Oh, Zach's actually having to defend here from Revolution. I don't know if that was a defensive maneuver or he was actually just trying to... Or he just had a very poor line. You can see he's squirming so far down the straight. That's probably a solid 100, 150 metres down the straight, and he's still struggling to put the power down. So that is just a little idea on how much the drivers are trying at the moment, just how much effort they're putting in just to keep the car on track. I do apologize that I'm using this spectator menu a bit. I'm trying to use it so I'm not jumping in between 15 drivers just to get to one. Revolution isn't really close enough. Zach a little bit more squirmy. Does Revolution do the dummy? He's not really close enough. So yeah, just back to the spectator menu. What I can do is then, if I want to go to Spilly, instead of spamming R2 to go all the way to Spilly, I can just do that, double tap X on his name, and it's so much quicker. And he nearly actually hits Pure Gold there to Spilly, so we'll go back to this battle for the lead. He's not going to be close enough though this time round. What's Plevs doing at the moment? He's not really close enough either to make a move on Aaron, so Spilly did just go fastest there in the Grand Prix as well. 40. It's actually made him a little mistake here because he's dropped off Toddy massively, and he's actually was just in a little battle there with Gunners. So Gunners doing a really good job here for Toro Rosso on his debut full-time race. He has obviously, I believe he reserved in Belgium and one other race. I can't remember what that other race was, but he had really good pace in Belgium, but unfortunately I believe he ended up retiring from the Grand Prix due to terminal damage. So Crossy and Dr. Dre have also swapped spots because Dr. Dre is in the pit lane. What tyres is he going on? He's going on the mediums. So is that a little sign on what's to come? Because the track definitely doesn't look like it's ready for mediums unless he's doing a little bit of experimenting for his teammate, Gunners. It definitely doesn't look like it's time for dries yet. Will Revolution be close enough this time? He's actually going to have a bit of pressure here, is Revolution, from Aaron behind. So Plevs has dropped out of DRS range now. Obviously DRS is not enabled though, but Revolution, massive tank slapper there in the McLaren car. As they went through 130R, he was full sideways there. Just kept the car on track. He probably did earn himself a warning, but if you have a look now, Toddy is right on the rear of Plevs. This is the battle for position 4 in this race. I'm actually not too sure on where these guys are in the standings of Plevs and Toddy. I'll just pull this up, so sorry about that. I'll do that so then I can see the standings as well. You just got a little glimpse of the standings as well. Obviously they're not live, but I'll be able to refer back to it hopefully now. So Plevs is currently in position 7 on 105 points. And then Toddy's in P5 at the moment on 167. He can technically still jump up into position 3. Sorry, position 2 in the standings is Ken Toddy, but he needs Aaron 40 and Revolution to have 1 or 2 bad rounds for him to do so. So there's not many rounds left in the season as well. I'll quickly confirm for you guys as well what the remaining races are. So we're currently at Japan. We have Mexico, USA, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. So 4 rounds remaining in Season 2 of the Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League. I need to do a bit of math as well because I believe Zach Crichton can actually win this thing here as well. I think he may have already won it, to be honest. I think he already has. So, I believe, if I think the maths are correct, because Zach Ryan is currently on 281 points and X Revolution's on 183. So, he can 100% conceal this championship here this afternoon. If he stays where it is, I believe he can win the championship. Oh, he's in the pits now with Zach. He's coming into the pit lane, so he's going to be the first driver to actually react here. Go back on board with Revolution because he's actually not responded to it, nor is Aaron and Plevs or Toddy. So 40's followed him in, so maybe they know something that we don't. What did Zach Ryan go on to, though, is the big question. He's currently gone back on the Inter, so Dr. Dre has unfortunately gone onto the wrong tyres, I do believe, which I did say at the start. Pure Gold and Spilly going at it as well. This is a battle for position 7, but we'll go back to our leaders. Actually, no, we'll stay on this battle here between Pure Gold and Spilly. Obviously, Spilly does have his teammate Jay Schmidt right in front. I'm going to try and do a little bit of calculations here so I can work out what happened. So, if I do 26 times by 5 rounds, that's 130 points. And what you get, 18 points times 4 rounds, 72. So, yeah, Zach Crichton can actually win it here this afternoon. So Zach can win the championship here this afternoon. If he does win this race, I believe he can 100% conceal. I'm not too sure about the other positions, but if he does win, Revolution comes home P2, he will be able to conceal that. And I believe Spilly has the fastest lap of the race. I'll be able to... And that's actually X Revolution, so that'll be a little bit of a helping hand. But I'll be 100% able to confirm that for you next round. Unfortunately, I just completely had no idea that these two are battling. And look at that, Revolution, 3-second penalty now. So he is now on equal terms with the Mercedes of Zach Ryan. Do we see all these drivers come in to react to Zach? Revolution does. Aaron stays out. Pleb stays out. Toddy stays out. What does Gunners do? Gunners stays out as well, so... X Revolution is responding to Zach Crichton here. He wants this race win, so he's going to follow whatever Zach does. It looks like a racing point's in as well. Schmidt's in, Pure Gold's in, Curving's in, and Very Lazy Towel just gets a stop there. There's a McLaren driver. So these three here at the moment. Obviously, Aaron was in provisional P3 before the front two in front of him actually pitted, so let's see if this works for them. They're doing a little bit of an overcut strategy. Obviously, Zach and Revolution were sliding their cars around a lot, so they could have a little bit more tyre wear compared to the three behind them of Toddy, Plebs, and Aaron. So 40 also did pit as well, so that's an interesting thing there as well. He's actually got Gaming Burger in between him at the moment, has 40. So I'll go have a look at that. As you can see, he's actually caught up behind Berger, and Berger's let him through here, so he knows there's no point battling the Ferrari. Did Berger. He's not in the same race as him pretty much. Well, he is in the same race, but not in the same strategy. It's just going to cost them both time if they're battling, so... 40's now got 4.7 seconds. He's got to try and catch up to X Revolution. Look at that. Zach's actually put out a really good gap here between himself and Revolution. So 2.6 seconds now, so could that be a little bit of a wake-up call to Plebs and Toddy that these fresh tyres are quicker? Well, obviously they were going to be quicker, but... I think what these guys are trying to do is make sure they get these tyres to the end, so... Will we see any of these drivers in this lap? Does Aaron come in? No, he doesn't. Plebs doesn't, and Toddy doesn't either. So they're all trying to stretch it out for as long as possible. Obviously, Zach and Revolution will be trying to conserve that. Will be pushing very hard at the moment. I believe they will come out in the lead of the Grand Prix once these three do pit, but... I'm not too sure if the tyres will make it to the end. If they've only got that many laps in, they will definitely won't make it to the end. Or unless there is supposed to be a little bit of dry weather coming up, these guys are trying to conserve their tyres to make sure that they do get to the end. As Gunners now pits for Toro Rosso. I want to do a little bit of math, but I know if I do that, then I'm not going to... what's the word? I'm going to miss something on stream. That's what I meant to say. I'm going to miss a battle, or I'm going to miss a crash on stream, which I normally do anyway, but I've got less of an excuse in that manner, you can say. Sorry. But as you can see, we are on lap 30. The conditions definitely don't look like they're easing up anytime soon. There's a little bit of blue sky coming out, but the weather is definitely not easing up at all. So all these three are just kind of slipstreaming each other at the moment, trying to pull each other along. I don't think we'll see them into the pits, probably till around lap 16 I reckon we'll see them in the pits for a new set of intermediate tyres. Obviously Zach and Revolution will be banking on a safety car, so do we see Aaron in the pits? We do, and Plebs follows them in, and so does Toddy, so they reckon this is the optimal time to come into the pit lane. They all get the maximum coming into the pit lane. Hopefully none of these guys do get balked. Aaron doesn't get balked. Plebs doesn't get balked. So Williams need a really quick stop here, which they are known for. He's been held in the pits here, unfortunately. He's actually lost a little bit of time now to Plebs and Aaron, so that's not going to be... I know he won't be happy with that whatsoever with Toddy. And look at that, 40 and Gunners have now jumped Toddy. And Plebs has 40 right behind him. Obviously Plebs is going to be on colder tyres compared to the Ferrari behind him. But Zach leads at the moment, 1.8 seconds, 1.6 seconds rather, between himself and Revolution. So Revolution slowly catching up. It was 2.8, I believe, when they exited the pit. So Revolution seems to have a little bit more pace at the moment in these slippery conditions over the Mercedes driver, who's looking to potentially take the title here this afternoon, I think. Aaron's in P3, Plebs P4, then it'll be 40 Gunners, Toddy in P7, who will not be happy whatsoever with where he's dropped down to. Jay Schmidt in P8, P9 Spilly. And running at your top 10 is Pure Gold. Curving Texas in P11. And Crossy Tau, BK Banana, Gaming Burger. Banana's battling here with BK. As you can see, BK's made a little bit of an error. Will this be Banana Cake's opportunity? He's got the run here on the Mercedes driver. So the best spot he could probably try and set up for is the hairpin, which he has got a run now. So could this be Banana's opportunity? Probably a little bit too far back, but the Red Bull driver sends it. BK leaves him nice room there. Very generous room there. Oh, because BK is on the soft compounded tyre and Banana's completely pushed him out wide. So BK has been very generous there, but Banana didn't feel like being the same way back, so he pushed him out wide. That's very interesting that BK is actually on those soft compound tyres. It's definitely not time yet for them, but everyone has now made a pit stop. We'll swap this over to tyres so you guys can see what tyres everybody is on. Obviously it's BK and Dr. Dre who are on the dry compound tyres at the moment, which is definitely way too early in my opinion. If you guys are new around here, please do hit that subscribe button and check out our socials. As you can see on the right hand side of your screen, our Twitter at Spec Esports, our Instagram race.spec, and our Facebook Spec F1 Esports. Be sure to go leave them a heart, sorry not a heart, a like and a follow. His Gaming Burger's now retired, so has he done that in the pit lane? He has done that in the pit lane, so it's not a terminal damage. I'm not too sure what's happened there to Gaming Burger. So unfortunately for himself, he will now be the second retirement from the Japanese Grand Prix. As you can see, X Revolution there all over the track, trying to find where the grip is on this circuit. He has caught up to Zach Grant though at a very rapid pace. He's pulled in a couple of, at least half a second to 0.6 of a second on Zach Grant each lap. So he's been really quick here, has X Revolution. Let me know some predictions in the chat because we're coming towards the end stages of this race. So let me know some predictions who you reckon is going to potentially win. Well, your top three, I should say, for the Grand Prix. Obviously, Zach leads away at the moment, but he does have X Revolution catching at a very fast pace. Aaron in P3, Plebs 40, rounds out your top 5. Then it'll be Gunners, Toddy, Spilly, Jay Schmidt, Pure Gold, Curving Texas, rounds out your top 11. Crossy, Very Lazy Tail, Banana Cake Pie, BK, and Dr. Dre, who's now come into the pits for a fresh set of intermediate tyres. He has now been lapped by the two leaders of Zach and Revolution, who Zach's just made another little error there. About to cross. It's about 11 laps remaining. Just a little under 11 laps remaining in this race. Well, it is actually 11 laps remaining. We could say 10 and a half laps because they're halfway around the circuit at the moment. You could say that. BK is in the pits now as well for a new set of dry tyres. He figured out that those new set of wet tyres rather, intermediate. So he figured out that those tyres were not the right ones to be on. He tried to take a gamble, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out for him. Same as it has for Dr. Dre 3000 down in position 16. So this is now 10 laps remaining in the Grand Prix of Japan for the 17th round of the PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League. Four rounds remaining in the season. Zach Crunn's looking to potentially take the championship here this afternoon. Not 100% sure on that, but I believe he can do it from my little bit of quick math. Math. Trying to find a battle that's out on track at the moment where overtakes are actually happening. You see Revolution taking a much different line than Zach Crichton there. He's obviously found some sort of grip out there, so he's just exploring the track there as much as the track as possible to try and find where the grip is. Obviously it's not always necessarily on the racing line. When it's wet, it's not normally the fastest line. Not necessarily always the fastest line, but Aaron's starting to catch up a little bit now, I believe, to these front two. But these two tyres are going to start wearing very soon as well. But they're going to be a lot older, I should say. 3-4 laps older than Aaron and Plebs, so... Could Plebs be on for a potential podium this season? I don't believe he does have a podium at all. In the PS4 Pacific Series. I don't remember interviewing him in any of them. I will be able to confirm it for you though. In 1 second. He just set the fast lap. Pure Gold actually just got a 5-second penalty, sorry. So here we go, let's pull it up. Plevs has actually got one podium this season, and that was at France. So that's been his only podium this season. Every other result has been out of... Actually, no, he has got 1-4, so... Yeah, Plevs will be looking to take home Renault's second podium this season. Curving Texas obviously hasn't had the best of seasons, or best of opening seasons in the main game. Obviously, Curving Texas is the Tier 2, well, the reigning PS4 Pacific Series Tier 2 champion. So, he had high hopes of potentially being able to do the same in Tier 1, but unfortunately, it's with the caliber that we have of drivers in this league, it's very hard to do so. Of Zach Crichton, X Evolution, Aaron, Plebs, 40, Gunners, Toddy, all those really quick drivers, very hard to do so. So Zach now is a 3/10 advantage at the moment on Revolution. BK now 3-second time penalty for Mercedes. There's about 7-8 laps remaining in the Grand Prix now. As you can see, Dr. Dre getting out of the way of the drivers that are in the lead lap. We currently have 16 drivers remaining in the race. This battle between Revolution and Zach has been going on all race, but Revolution just hasn't been able to set up a move nicely on Zach. Just hasn't had the opportunity as of yet to make a move, but he could be sandbagging. You never know. The McLaren driver could just be sitting behind Zach, waiting for that perfect opportunity to get the pass done. Yellow flag. Is that Gunner's gone? It is Gunner's gone. So Gunners has made a mistake here. Did he put it in the wall maybe? Have a look at his front wing. It looks completely fine. So I think he may have just gone into a half spin there to the Toro Rosso driver. And now he's unfortunately dropped down to P8 behind Spilly and Toddy and 40. So 40 now back up into the top 5. Still not where he wants to be though. And now Revolution's made the move, I believe. Here it is. So Revolution did make the move there, but he actually ran really wide. So not too sure what's happened there. Unfortunately, we did miss it. I'm known for missing it, but we need to remember as well, these two are equal on penalties, I believe. And Revolution obviously just ran really wide there. So that could have been another warning for the McLaren driver. I will check them very shortly for you. Another yellow flag in Sector 2. I believe that is just a local yellow. He's got a 6-second lead at the moment, has X Revolution. Zach's in the pits. Zach's coming in for another stop. So are they two stopping? Is that what Zach's trying to do? I don't know if that's the right strategy call. Well, maybe for him, yeah, because him and Revolution, because they did pit very early, but Aaron, Plevs, and Toddy are all going to be going to the end. So I was not expecting Zach Crichton to be in the pits that lap, so that could have explained that little debacle there they just had heading through the final sector. Zach could have potentially been letting X Revolution go to see what he would have been doing, but Revolution's staying out, so Zach's now dropped down to position 9, and see how much he's off the lead at the moment. He's 21 seconds off the lead, so I think Zach's just made a little bit of an error here. I do not think the two-stop is the way to go, to be honest, because he needs to pull in 21 seconds at this stage to try and win the race. Obviously, it won't be as much if Aaron and that don't make a pit stop, but there's a yellow flag. It's Sector 1. Not too sure who that's for. It might be Dr. Dre or Banana. It might have been Banana Cake Pie. There's 7 laps remaining in the race. The session, it does not look like it's drying up at all. As I said, this TV cam looks like it is drying up, but on the onboard shot, it definitely does not. So if Revolution does pit here, this could work into Aaron, Plevs, and 40's hands here. Actually, no, 40 did make a stop early as well, so we could potentially see the Ferrari making another stop. Toddy did make a stop at the same time as Plevs and Aaron. So those three are pretty much equal on tyres at this stage. So let's see what Revolution does here. Does he respond to Zach? I don't think he should be pitting for a two-stop. That's not what I definitely would have done, but does he come into the pits? No, he doesn't. He stays out. So is Zach Crichton just throwing this win away for making an unnecessary pit stop? But obviously, if Revolution's tyres are going to be super dead towards the end, this is going to play into the hands again of Aaron, Plevs, and Todster. So 40 does stay out as well. So Toddy needs to try and catch up to 40 here. Now Gunners has overtaken Spilly for position 6 as well. So where's Zach come out? He's here. He's about 3.6 seconds behind XXJ Schmidt. So I think this has unfortunately been a bit of a mistake here from the Mercedes driver. This will, I believe, not rack up his championship this afternoon. As the McLaren gone, I believe that is Towel in the wall. Hopefully this does not bring out a safety car, because he's in a quite bad spot. He has been having a few wheel issues, has Towel, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of them, but he needs to get out so a safety car does not come out, because I really don't want one to come out, to be honest. But as you can see, Plebs is 8 tenths now behind Aaron, so this battle is definitely not over. 40's starting to catch up as well. He's doing a really good job at the moment, is 40, considering the tyres that he's on. 3-4 laps older than Plebs and Aaron's and Toddy's. Toddy just hasn't had the pace in the second stint. He's actually going to have Gunners catching up to him now behind, so, and Spilly, who's getting towed along with Gunners. So Schmidt's running a pretty lonely race at the moment in position 8. Then it'll be Zach Crichton, Pure Gold, curving Texas in P11. So while nothing's really happening, I'm going to quickly have a quick look at penalties. So X Revolution has a 3-second time penalty. Aaron is on 1 warning. Plebs is on 1 warning. 40 is on a 3-second time penalty. Toddster is on 1 warning. And Gunners is on 1 warning. We'll go to Spilly as well, because why not? Well, not. I never expect Spilly to get a penalty. He never does. Schmidt gets a 3-second time penalty. And Zach obviously has that 3 second as well. So if Aaron can actually close it up to 3 seconds here, Aaron could potentially win this race. He did win. I believe Aaron's only win this season was in Hungary. Actually, yes, he did, because it was the battle with Todster in the end. I believe Zach Ryan made the exact same mistake as what he's done today. He pitted when he definitely shouldn't have. He did a 2-stop, and Aaron and Toddy did a 1-stop, and it worked for them. So, well, no, they didn't stop. That's right, because Aaron and Toddy didn't even stop. That's right. They didn't even stop in the race. They just went the full race distance because they were on wet. It was wet conditions. So there was a lot of safety cars at the start, though, I believe. So that really helped them. But unfortunately, I think this might be a little bit of a repeat. If Aaron can get within 3 seconds here, and Plevs, these two could be on for a potential win here this afternoon. Aaron will know now. His team would have told him that he has a 3-second penalty, 10-second penalty now for very lazy tail for corner cutting. So his race is pretty much done and dusted. And BK's actually retired as well. I didn't even realise that. So there's now 4 retirements from the Grand Prix. Tao's also retired. Dr. Dre will now jump up into position 14. But Zach also did just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the previous lap. So he's now right on the rear of Schmidt. But this has been another mistake here from Zach Hunt, I believe, when it comes to strategy. So Aaron now 4.6 seconds. 4 laps remaining in the race. He needs to get within 3 seconds, and Plebs needs to make sure he's within 3 seconds as well to Revolution if he wants to get up into the top 2, which he'll be 100% wanting for not only his championship but also the Constructors. I believe if he does get in the top 2, Plebs, he will... Actually, no, he's not actually close enough at the moment to Spilly. No, he won't be able to jump up any spots, I believe, and he won't go down any spots, so he'll stay in position 7, but... Obviously, Aaron will want this win badly because this will jump into the top of this little battle between Revolution and 40. So, obviously, there's 3 points at the moment separating X-Revolution, 40, and Aaron for the battle of P2 in these standings. So, Aaron will want this win super badly. This will give him that little advantage heading into the next couple of rounds that he needs. Obviously, Plebs isn't really in the battle for the top 3 in the standings, but he'll be wanting to take home a good result for the Renault team. 40 is in that battle with Aaron and Revolution, so he unfortunately has made a couple of errors this afternoon. Like we have seen him do a couple of times late this season. He obviously made that race-ending error at the Singapore Grand Prix, which unfortunately lost him a lot of points to Aaron and... lost him a lot of points to Aaron and X-Revolution, which did end up closing the gap, so... 40 was in position 2 for a lot of this before the Singapore Grand Prix. Unfortunately, just had that very poor round. And then, obviously, 40 did win the last race, I believe, as well. I will confirm that for you. He did... yes, he did win the last race. It's Russia, so... yeah, it's very tight at the moment between all of our drivers. I'll bring the chat back up so I can see your comments in the stream. But it looks like Revolution... will be in a little bit of trouble here. Banana's very bored. Sorry, he said he's bored and he's very, very lonely. Help. Making a pit stop just to actually see people. Mate, focus on the road. Don't text and drive, mate. We don't support that here at Race Spec. The Revolution now is about 5 seconds, so Aaron's really not catching him at what he needs to do. So Revolution at this stage will win the Grand Prix. Plebs will be in position 3, Aaron P2. 40 does have a penalty, so he's going to drop behind Toddy, Gunners, and Spilly. So unfortunately for 40, he's going to lose a lot of points here this afternoon, unless all of these 3 behind him get penalties. Crossy is now out on the soft compound tyre. It's still a little bit too early, I believe, but he's just gambling. He's out of the top 10, so he's just mucking around, I believe, at this stage. Just trying to see what the tyres are like. See if he can potentially even go for the fastest lap as well when it comes towards the end of the race, because it definitely looks like the rain has eased off a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough for dry tyres for the end of this race. Well, it definitely won't be, but fast enough or dry enough for a fast lap to come in. I believe it is still Revolution that has that fastest lap. It is Zach Crichton now, actually. So 41.7. He's in position 8 at the moment. So Zach starting to catch up, but we need to remember he does have that 3-second penalty as well. So if he does get ahead of Spilly, Gunners, Toddy and that, he will drop down even further. Three laps remaining in the Japanese Grand Prix. Kevin Texas is now in the pit lane for a new set of intermediate tyres. So that's interesting. Here's a little battle now starting to spice up between these four. Before Toddy, Gunners and Spilly. They're going side by side now as Gunners and Spilly. Who's going to have the better traction? It looks like Spilly's going to go around the outside. He's going to be on the inside though for the spoon curve. Gunners very deep under brakes. Pulls it up though, but unfortunately made contact there with Spilly while doing so. This battle is probably the main one on track or on circuit at the moment between 40, Toddy, Spilly, Gunners. So at this stage, 40's going to drop behind all of these guys because he does have that 3-second penalty he has to owe at the end of this race. So Zach's also going to start to catch up now as they do start the penultimate lap. Well, our leaders start the penultimate lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Extra Evolution, 4 seconds at the moment. Aaron's pulled in a little bit of time, but he needs to find about a second and a little bit more just to be comfortable to take this win. He's made a mistake now as Aaron. What's happened there? He's just cost himself so much time. Was that an error or... I think it definitely was an error because he's just cost himself nearly a second now to Extra Evolution. So he's going to push really hard here, has Aaron. Because he's not going to have much time. He's got to find about a second now. Roughly a second and a little bit. Well, over a second now in this last couple of laps. So Plebs is just outside of a second as well to Aaron in front. So 40 is still backing up this whole train and Zach's starting to catch up now. But Zach has made unfortunate error there in his pit strategy. Now as you can see, Spilly's trying to get ahead of Todd. So this is for position though. Spilly down the inside. Does Toddy leave him room? He does. Didn't really have to. Spilly didn't have much of an overlap. 40's made an error now. He's let him through. Has he just let him through? Has he made an error? But now he's going to drop all the way back. I think he's got a puncture, has he? He's got a puncture. Yes, he does have a right rear puncture. So unfortunately for 40, his championship hopes, I think, are going to go today. He's not going to score any points. So I think his championship hopes for position 2 or position 3 are done. He does now have a puncture to his right rear tyre. Will he try and limp it back around? No, he's going to come in the pits. It's probably the smarter thing. Schmidt is 16 seconds, so he'll be able to take home a potential point, but now this is the battle. Oh, look at that! It's gone! Toddy spun off at the exit of turn 1. Toddy has gone out of this race. What has happened there? Did he make contact with Spilly? I'm genuine no idea what's happened there. We unfortunately didn't catch that on stream. But we'll go back to this battle for the lead. Obviously, Revolution 4.5 seconds. So Aaron needs to find about 5/10 of a second here to try and win this Grand Prix. Plebs has caught up to Aaron massively as well. This is full position, so we could see Plebs potentially make a move here on Aaron if Aaron keeps making these little errors. Spilly in P4 at the moment. That is full position. So is Gunners. Zach Crine's got a 3-second penalty he has to owe, but he's got 13 seconds clear behind him. So Toddy is now retired from the race. Where's his car? It's off to the side, I believe. Might be able to see it here on Curving Texas. Off to the left-hand side, I believe we'll see his car. Must have had massive damage to that car. He'll not be happy at all. But Extra Evolution. Oh, it's going to be tight here. Aaron's pushing really hard at the moment. Actually, he's got to get 3 seconds. That one. He's not going to go, I don't think. So Revolution now through the final corners. He's giving us a little drift. He's now going to come across the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. It's actually going to be tied between Aaron. Aaron gets it! 0.2 of a second. Revolution stuffed it up in the end there. Revolution was driving way too slowly. I think he had out of fuel. So Aaron gets it in the end. 0.2 of a second. Aaron is the winner of the Japanese Grand Prix. Extra Evolution will come home position 2. P3 will be Plebs. 0.2 of a second. He'll be absolutely devastated to not get P2, but he'll be happy with P3. I'm sure he will be. Spilly will be P4. Gunners P5, P6 will be Zach Crichton. Pure Gold 40 is going to come home position 8. He will take home some points, and unfortunately he's going to drop behind Schmidt here with that penalty. No, he's not, because Schmidt had a penalty as well. I do apologize. So Curving Texas now through the final chicane as well. He will take home the final point here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Had 6 retirements in the end. But wow, what an ending to that race. Revolution, it didn't look like he was full throttle, so not sure if he was just cruising or he actually ran out of fuel, because he wasn't full throttle heading through down that like final kind of straight. So that could have potentially just cost him the win of the Grand Prix if that was the case. Obviously you can see him limping around there because he does not have any fuel, but not too sure. Normally you still do go full throttle if you have no fuel to try and get to the end. But congratulations to Aaron. Second win this season for Red Bull. This will be absolutely perfect for himself when it comes to this battle for position 2 in the championship. Obviously Zach Crichton's bottled a lot of points here this afternoon. Revolution will take home some good points as well, so that will close that gap a little bit. So I will do the math for you next round, and I'll be able to let you guys know on what the goal is with the championship standings. So congratulations to our opponent. We'll try and get in some post-race interviews as well, but we'll read out your provisional results here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Aaron L3F4 takes the win of the Japanese Grand Prix. Obviously finished P2 on track, but Revolution had that 3-second penalty he had to owe at the end, so he'll be on the second step of the podium. Plebs will come home P3 for his, I believe, third podium of the season, sorry. Plebs in P3, P4 Spilly, P5 Gunners, Zach Crichton in P6 after that little error in the pit stops and strategy that completely screwed his race over, and I think that is unfortunately cost him the World Championship here today. We'll do the math for next round. I'll have that all confirmed up for you. So Pure Gold and P7, P8 40, P9 Schmidt for Racing Point, and then rounding out your top 10 taking home a singular point will be Curving Texas. I believe Revolution also. Actually, no, Zach did have the fast lap, so he will take home an extra point for his standings. Crossy in P11 and Banana Cake Pie rounds out your finishes. And unfortunately, Toddy, Tao, Dr. Dre, BK, Gaming Burger, and Iconic Q all retired from the race. We'll be back with you shortly for some post-race interviews. Stay tuned for interviews with the top 3. All right, so here we have here for some podium interviews. Unfortunately, we don't have Extra Evolution in the party because he still has not somehow got himself a microphone. But we have Plebs and Aaron here in for some post-race interviews. Let's start with you, Aaron. Obviously, it didn't look like you were actually going to win that race until the last 200 meters coming up to the line. So talk us through your race. Obviously, struggling in the wet conditions. You got off to a really good start, though. So talk us through your race.
Yeah, the start was pretty good. Got Bailey, and pretty much just stuck behind Zach and Revolution. Zach was struggling quite a bit, so then I kind of created a bit of a train from Zach till about fifth, sixth, and then yeah, I noticed Zach's tires were dying pretty much, and mine were okay. So yeah, Zach was forced on to the two stop. Revolution just hang on for the one stop, and don't know, we were catching him slowly every lap. He was probably babying his tyres quite a bit throughout that last stint. And yeah, somehow in the last 200 metres, as you said, I got him. His puncture was just a bit too much for him. And yeah, got him on the line.
Oh, so you get a puncture?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he ran out of fuel. But anyway, I didn't actually see that. So unfortunately, 40 ran out or got a puncture on the penultimate lap of the race. He had to come in and put on a new tyre. But we'll move on to you, Plebs. Obviously, had a really good start to this race. I believe you moved up one spot. You did qualify in the top 5 for the first time in a couple of races this season. So talk us through your race. How were the conditions in the wet at the beginning?
Yeah, it was pretty slippery. It was kind of that dry, annoying rain. Jeff was saying, or at least my Jeff was saying that he wasn't sure which tyres were faster, but game said Inters, so it was Inters. I think some guys maybe tried the slicks. You would have seen that. I don't know, but yeah, it was basically only just wet enough for Inters, so it was really tough on the tyres and pretty slippery. Um, I made some setup adjustments that I think paid off big time actually. So I was pretty happy with how I went with the setup. Still got a good qualifying, and yeah, Bailey made a mistake turn one, I think lap 2 or 3, and I overtook him and yeah, stuck with Aaron the whole race, but he had good pace and never really got close enough to make a move. I made a couple of mistakes and caught back up.
Yep.
So I thought I was maybe slightly quicker than him, but yeah, overtaking at Japan's pretty tough at best of times. So in the wet, it's even harder. And yeah, so pretty happy with the result though. It was a pretty boring race to be honest. Even though we were close together, it wasn't that exciting. But yeah.
It wasn't as bad as Singapore. But anyway, we'll talk about Aaron, talking about your driver's standings as well. Obviously, there was 3 points heading into this round between yourself, Extra Evolution, and 40. Unfortunately, 40 had a very poor performance there, and both Ferraris did actually in that race. So how does that make you feel heading into the next or the remaining 4 rounds of the season, having at least a 10-point advantage? No, it's not a 10-point advantage. 7 points, 8 points, 8 points. Yeah, 8-point advantage to Extra Evolution. Obviously, that's not much, but anything in this league can help you.
Yeah, it's a pretty tasty battle for second between 40, Revolution, and I, and Toddy's out the back there. If he can gain back a bit of form, he might join. But don't know, they're two really, really good drivers. I think I've generally been pretty lucky. I've finished all the races that have been put on this season. Unlike them, they've had a few DNF and DNSs. So I'll admit I've been a bit lucky in that case. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting. 4 races, like, who knows? You could have a race like today and it could have been completely different. Bailey could have been in my position. I could have been in Bailey's position. So don't know. We're gonna have to see how we go.
Yeah. And quick question for both of you as well. With the strategy, were you both aiming to do a 1-stop, or were you originally planning to do a 2-stop?
The 1-stop was always probably the better way to go. I think for everyone, because of like the tire heat, everyone's tires are overheating quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say if there was 1 or 2 more laps in that race, we would have been forced onto a 2-stop probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Key in those conditions is like not overheating your tires because it can spiral pretty quickly if you lock up once and overheat it, and then lock up in a couple more corners on the same lap. It just gets worse and worse. So yeah, I think that happened to a few guys, but yeah, it was always going to be the 1-stop I think, and only just 2 because you can see like Toddy and Bailey and Revolution got punctures the last 2 laps, so it was
Yeah.
pretty touch and go even for one stop.
See, Toddy didn't. I don't think Toddy got a puncture. I think he
Yeah,
collided.
he did. He
Oh,
got
he
a
did,
puncture
okay.
and then crashed out. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he got hit with, or he collided with Spidley. But anyway, thank you guys
Yeah,
for
he
joining.
did the same lap as us and still got a puncture. So
Yeah. I never thought that. I'm surprised that Revolution got that far. To be honest, I thought that him, Zach, and whoever else was Gunners all pitted way too early. But
I was as well. I thought he was going to get a puncture on like the second last lap, but don't know. Somehow held through.
yeah, I was pretty gutted not to jump Revolution, seeing the gap at the end, 2/10.
yeah,
Pretty close.
It's
Anyway,
unfortunate.
cool.
We'll move on to the
Thanks for
next round, which
commentary.
is Mexico. So stay tuned for that next next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for joining. Congratulations to you, Aaron, on your second win this season, and Plebs on your second podium as well for Renault. But thank you guys for joining. Third win? You sure?
Yes.
That's not what it says to me.
China, Hungary, and
Actually, it is your third. I apologize.
that's okay. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. My name is Expert, and I'll see you guys next round for the Mexican Grand Prix.